I'm gonna be real honest right now. I ain't gonna let no technical difficulties mess up my good time. So, my giant face says, welcome back to episode 2 of Foil Hats Optional with my good buddy Glenn Barth. Enjoy.
So I fixed the glitch. Any other genres of music that you get down with?
Mainly in general, it's like it's a hard rock thing. I with my lovely wife, I still have to have to endure, if you will, a fair amount of 70s pop. I thought that she was more of a 80s girl, but it turns out that she's going back to when she was younger and really getting into, first getting into music. So there's a lot of 70s stuff out there that when we're doing road trips, I'm pretty good. I can handle pretty much any, music or whatever.
Can you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
What about Aerosmith?
Well, that's almost a time for a whole other podcast, but no,
Bryan Adams?
we'll okay, all right. Let's pick apart Aerosmith first. Aerosmith is another band that their early stuff is phenomenal. I like a lot of it, a ton of it. And it's funny because all this stuff kind of ties in. It's just really weird how all this music ties in. And it's funny you mentioned Bryan Adams, but and we'll get there. But the whole Aerosmith thing, it's like, they're the only band that I walked out on twice. That's I mean,
that's saying something.
They might be the only band that I walked out on, but I actually walked out on them twice. And it's just because the support acts were better, and I just didn't really I really wasn't on board with their live performance. And the last time that I saw them was 2003, and they released some blues album where it's, I don't know if Steven Tyler tried to do his best Al Jarreau and do frickin' scat solos and shit on it. It was just horrible. And then he's bringing us into the live show, and their stuff, people say, oh, they played all their stuff is live, and they're really a good band. And yeah, I mean, sometimes the fans make the performance because they're all singing along.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like Motley Crue.
Yeah, why is Motley Crue still touring? Because Vince Neil has the ability to be able to at least hold his arm. He can't do anything else, but he can hold that microphone out to the goddamn audience and sing away. So I mean, that's basically what it was. A long time ago, Ted Nugent and Aerosmith were at Alpine Valley. Saw Ted Nugent put on a good set. He's pretty solid. And then it was Aerosmith time, and I was just like, it's really just not doing anything for me. And we left before probably 2 songs before the encores or whatever, because when you're walking up that hill at Alpine Valley, you still got to listen to the shit
right
on your way out. And second time was at Alpine Valley, and we'll talk about a certain band, but the hottest band in the world opened up. They did a joint tour, and Kiss was the first band, and Aerosmith was the second band, and maybe I had a chip on my shoulder about that. I don't know, but
yeah, maybe.
But I definitely left probably midway through Aerosmith's set because it was that whole scat shit, and and who knows with Alpine Valley has a small stage, and I had said for the longest time, and now as I get older and I get a little wiser, maybe a little bit, I thought that you've got you got Joe Perry, and who's the other
I only know 2 guys in that
player band. So there's Perry, and then I think Hamilton or whatever is
Alexander Hamilton.
Actually it's Brad Hamilton, used to work at All American Burger.
Oh.
And yeah. But so they have I think they have 3 guitarists, Joe Perry and 2 other clowns. And in hindsight, I think maybe it was a guitar tech that I saw, but I'm not sure. But I'm looking at a 4th guitar player on the side of the stage, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Not cool, man.
Yeah. And I've seen that with other bands too, but it's like, I'm just like, okay, this is a great, it's the great Joe Perry. And I'm thinking, okay, you guys need an extra guitar player that you haven't playing on the side, and he's not, but maybe he was a guitar tech. I don't know.
It could have been, but
I mean, it's hard to say because when they're playing with the song that's actually out there, I mean, you're not tuning the guitar for the next song.
Not
you know
cool.
what I mean?
Yep. And it happened. I think the Stones, they do it.
Yeah.
When they got older, they started doing that stuff, and I'm like, who are you? Who are we listening to?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
It kind of takes away from the whole experience. If you have to question, like with Motley Crue, like they got busted out, I don't know how many times already, because they're using backing tracks, and like there's just like when you have to think about like who you're actually seeing or who you're listening to when you go to a show, it kind of just takes away the whole thing from it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It sucks. Sure. It's like that's not what you're paying for.
Right. So that's basically the story on Aerosmith, other than, you know, like after their album Permanent Vacation, I kind of took a permanent vacation from them.
Wittiest guy ever.
Yeah. the just the songs that, I mean, and they're okay, because I mean that was the thing. It's like people were having a good time at that show because they're singing along. They're singing along to, you know, Love in an Elevator, and you know.
Yeah, I never cared for that stuff.
Yeah.
That's not my jam.
Yep. And some of it is okay, but yeah, and then it gets overplayed.
Right.
So,
of course.
So then I get over that stuff too. And so that's my thing with Aerosmith. And
are they the worst one, like the bands that you don't like? Like, because I know Night Ranger is one of those, right? 38 Special, they're in there too, right?
38 Specials in there.
I know you've got a small collection of bands, and you're like, nope.
Yeah, I saw 38
Everything
Special.
that Joe Crenshaw likes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and because he likes to give me shit about it.
Of course, no.
Fucking Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 38 Special. I was supposed to see him twice. I saw him once. Saw him in Texas. They used to have the Texas World Music Festival, also known as the Texas Jam. They do it one day at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, and then the next day or the other weekend day at the Astrodome in Houston.
Okay.
And they do a good 5-6 band package. Then the year that I went, it was some lineups were really good, and some are like, what the hell? What is this? So the year that I went is what is this? It was Gary Moore was the first band.
Gary Busey.
And then Joe Crenshaw's best friend, Bryan Adams, was the second act.
Billy Squire there too, just to top it off.
No, because what better than Gary Moore and Bryan Adams than to have third on the bill? Ozzy Osbourne.
Really?
Yeah, Bark at the Moon Tour.
What the hell? That's odd.
Yeah, it's odd. And so the next up on the bill is 38 Special. We'll skip over that because we want to get to the headliner, Rush.
Oh, nice.
Grace Under Pressure.
Nice.
So those are the 5 bands at this thing, and which is really kind of a weird
I'd
group.
say, yeah.
So we're 3 bands into this thing. It's Dallas. It's the Cotton Bowl. It's the summer. It's hotter than hell. It's June, but it's hot. And so we take a walk around the Cotton Bowl, my first and only time there. And 38 Special is on, and they're just a band that they tried to work so hard to get the crowd going. And Bryan Adams that same day did the same thing, and it was just like both of them, maybe because they didn't belong there.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't like either one of them, and
too much trying.
Yeah, you're just trying too hard to get the crowd going. It's like you can tell by the set that Ozzy did, and actually I didn't see Gary Moore. We were walking in when that started, but the set that Ozzy did, the crowd was into it. Rush came out, crowd was really into it, and it was a good set, fantastic. But the other two was just like. Nobody was in the mood for that. Mm-hmm. And
I don't blame him.
Yeah. And and Bryan Adams has some good hits, and 38 Special had some good hits too, but just like, I don't know if I'm really a Southern rock band fan. I mean, I like some Molly Hatchet.
Yeah, I can do a little Leonard Skinner, a little bit. I can dabble in a little bit of stuff. Yep. I'm not a huge fan of the Southern rock stuff either. Yep. Although I'll say this. I do COC. I love that band, and they're not Southern rock. They're more metal,
right?
Or hard rock, and they're kind of heavily Southern influenced. But they got a good sound. They just got a good thing. I like COC's got a good thing.
Yeah, they do.
Big fan of those.
So actually, unfortunately, we had my friend had a death in the family, and the year before, I went to the Texas Jam, and it was I try and remember this lineup because it was good. The opener was Uriah Heep, which I couldn't care less about or
I
whatever.
got a buddy that's a big fan of them.
Yeah. Let's see, and the headliner was pretty good because they got, and I wish I would have been at that show because they got booed off the stage. In the middle of the bill was Ted Nugent and Triumph and Sammy Hagar.
Okay.
3 that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Headliner, Styx, Mr. Roboto tour. Frickin' Kilroy was here, and Dennis DeYoung was, he was riding his high horse at that time, and
Jenny would have loved it.
Oh,
she's a big fan.
And Styx is good. I saw them last summer. They were good. That whatever, one member is left or whatever it is, but they put on a good show, and I'd go see them again. But that whole Mr. Roboto thing, I mean, they got booed out of that stadium.
Yeah.
And I missed that particular show, but that was the lineup that day. And, you give me Ted Nugent, Sammy Hagar, and Triumph. That was pretty good back then, back in, 84 that was or something like that.
Yeah, 3 for 5.
Yeah,
bad.
again.
If you're playing baseball, it ain't bad.
Oh, if you're playing baseball, you're
pretty damn good.
Yeah, there's nobody hitting that well. So yeah, that was the whole Aerosmith Bryan Adams thing, and I can the best thing about Bryan Adams is that he co-wrote one of my favorite Kiss songs, War Machine.
Oh, okay, he did, huh? Interesting.
Yep. Yeah,
we'll have to talk about that.
They
But before you do, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's some interesting collaborations out there, and we could dabble in.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this like 4 or 5 more times because there's like a lot of stuff we can talk about, and that's cool.
Yeah.
My other buddy Dave he thought when I was doing this, he's like, I asked him to be on it too because he's another guy I can talk music with him all fucking night long.
Oh yeah.
He's like, yeah, I want to be your sidekick like the Pat McAfee show. I'm like, no, dude, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm not looking for a sidekick for you to stand over my shoulder and go, yeah, what he said. No, man, you got some interesting shit to talk about. That's why I want you on here. And he'll probably be you and him for sure, man. I'll have to have you guys on like as much as you want to come on here because we could talk and talk and talk about this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And get real deep, but I'm making mental notes for other episodes. I want to do my best at playing fortune teller right now.
Okay.
See if I can get this right. So I'm thinking using my mid-sized brain, average-sized brain. And I think I can guess that one of your favorite movies is none other than the 1984 classic Runaway.
It's good.
Huh?
It's good. It's underrated.
See, I knew I could get it. And why would I say that?
Cynthia Rhodes, man. She's
Cynthia
Rhodes,
something. Not Luther.
Luther's a pretty bad dude.
Yeah, he had bullets that they would go around corners and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
When I thought of it though, I'm like, well, I bet you, and I knew I'd fucking get it too. I knew that it was going to be a movie that like, he'll know this for sure. Because Gene Simmons is in it. Of course he's going to know that movie.
Yep. Hell yeah.
And it was a weird one for Tom Selleck too, because it's like, he wasn't really doing stuff like that, but he was. And it was, when I grew up, we liked that movie too.
Fuck yeah. Saw it at the Park Theater.
Did you? Oh yeah. I seen some stuff there before they tore it down.
Yeah. Before it became Racine Screen or not, one of the screen printing places, Speed Textile. They used to be on State Street, and then they moved into there for a little bit.
It was a kung fu or karate studio for a while too. Yeah.
Yep.
I when I was a kid, I thought Kiss, because they had the get-ups and like Gene Simmons, he was the big evil guy. I thought they were the coolest thing because they had their own movie. I remember seeing that, and I thought they were cool when I was a kid. But then when I got older, I'm like, it just wasn't. I'm not a fan. I'm not really a fan of their music, but I know you are a huge fan, which is why I'm just going to slide right into that thing, because we need to talk about some Kiss before I run out of disk space again. And I have to delete all my work. I'll just get another. I'll go buy another. Hey, Best Buy, bring me another computer real quick.
That's right.
I know you're a huge Kiss fan, and there's a lot of things. I might have to break this up into a couple episodes because there's probably a shitload to talk about. But tell me first, How is it that you became a big Kiss fan? What, how did that become about?
I was introduced to Kiss by a friend of mine back in I was 12 years old again, impressionable youth.
Sure.
Introduced me to the Destroyer album.
Okay.
And he dropped the needle, and then Detroit Rock City plays, and it's like and then of course you have the image of the band on that album, and you're like, wow, these guys are pretty wild. This is pretty cool. And Detroit Rock City plays, and it goes right into King of the Nighttime World. It's a good 1-2 punch for when you look back at rock albums or whatever. But kind of it was just something that was new to me. And it was just a little bit different, but it still had like all the stuff that I liked. I mean, again, I'm the youngest of 5, so I have siblings that just brought so much music into the house, and still that stuff that I like. And my dad was a huge country fan, so like the visual stuff. Like my dad doesn't like the t-shirt and jean country guys. He liked the Porter Wagners of the world that had all the rhinestones and shit like that.
That kind.
And he loved that. He loved that shit.
Oh, all right. I got to tell you something. You say the funny story from when I was a kid. There was the Rhinestone Cowboy song. Do you know
Glenn
that?
Campbell.
Okay. My mom always says this to me for whatever reason. I used to sing that song when I was like, I don't know, 5 or whatever. That was like something apparently that I really liked, and I would sing, I'm a rhinestone cow or whatever. I didn't know the words, but when you said that, the rhinestones, I'm like that. My mom makes fun of me for that shit still. So anyways, continue on.
So that got me into it. And at the time that was a pretty, a really hot time for them. So they were getting more popular with everybody. Then they're on that wave. They just released a live. They had Rock and Roll All Night, the live version that kind of got them on the map. You break out Destroyer, then you hit Rock and Roll Over, then you hit Love Gun, then you hit Alive 2. So there was a 3-year run where it was like you couldn't get enough. Got to get more. Got to go to the stores and get the magazines, and and just read up on whatever you can, collect magazines and put stuff up all on the walls. And I had a small group of friends that were all into that stuff. And but then, like you said, like over time, with any band, something happens to where they kind of do a hiccup in their work, and I think they had a little bit of a hiccup, and some people would think that it's huge, but I just stuck with it. It's just one of those things that when you really are into something, it could be your relationship. I mean, if you're into people, or you're whatever you're into, if you love it, you're gonna stick with it.
Sure.
And I just stuck with it the whole way through. I stuck through the lean years, if you will. And I look back on it now, and I think, when people were saying that they weren't doing really well in the 80s, man, I love all that shit. I mean, I love those albums. And there's a spot where you're gonna probably touch on it, but they took a turn, and some people, I'm not gonna say it, you can say it, but they took a turn, and a lot of people, like, they lost their fan base because of it. A lot of their fan base.
I never really followed them far enough, so I can't say it. You gotta say it, because I don't know. Is it when they took the makeup off?
No.
It wasn't then?
It was before the makeup, and you know what it is, because you actually you say
How did
this.
I fucking whiff on that one?
Yeah, you say it all the time.
Kissco.
Yes.
Best disco ever.
All right. Yeah. And
every time it comes on, I'm like, me and my brother call it that.
If it's disco, it is the best ever. So let's dabble in that. See, now you started that shit up. Okay, there you go. What you just did. Excellent. So let's go.
Where's John Travolta as he can start dancing to it? Saturday Night Fever, man.
Yeah, I remember when the album came out, I'm playing that song, and my dad actually liked it. And my dad actually took me to my first Kiss show. No, my first Kissco show. My first Kiss show. September 24th, 1979, Milwaukee Arena. It was the Dynasty Tour.
Dude, I was 5 when you went to that show.
Yeah. My dad took me. Judas Priest opened.
They've been around for a long time.
That was kind of my introduction into Judas Priest. I knew a little bit about them, but then that was another thing. It's like I saw them and then like had to have all that stuff and got into them, and that's one of the things I wanted to get like into more heavy stuff. So let's talk about the song that you were just humming along to.
Yeah. I was born for loving you, baby.
I was made for loving you.
Or born made.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson.
Oh, great.
Yeah, this is pretty wild.
Did I run out of disk space again?
You can only hope, because this is good. All right. So really quick, they are not necessarily innovators by any means.
Sure. Yes and no.
Yep,
the makeup
exactly.
thing, the makeup thing for sure.
Yeah. And some people will say, no, they're not, because the New York Dolls put on makeup before they did and all that stuff.
Kiss did it.
But it's a different level.
That people know Kiss for that.
Right. So, so you like Gene Simmons.
Keep talking.
All right. So Gene Simmons is, he was, he wanted to become, a star, if you will, when he saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Okay.
And so now that you look over his body of work, you can really get the Beatles influences into a lot of his songs. And some of them are demos, some of them are on a solo album, or solo albums. But they all like kind of steal from somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe everybody does it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But I just know a little bit more about it. And I just recently caught on to the bigger picture, which I find fascinating, because I just didn't know. What I did know is that Desmond Child wrote with Paul Stanley, and they wrote that song together. Now Paul Stanley he likes a lot of Motown stuff.
Okay.
And he just did Soul Station a few years back, a solo album with some of the best, rhythm and blues session players. And I mean, it's a pretty solid album. If you like that type of music, and it's pretty good. He actually took he kind of stole from the Four Tops for "I Was Made for Loving You." Because it's "I was made for loving you, baby."
Oh, sure.
Standing in the shadows of love.
Yeah, Steelers.
Yep. So he took that. He's with Desmond Child, and they get together and put the song together, and so then they said, well, let's put a faster drum beat to it. So he did that, and then they said, let's do the heavier guitars, okay. And then they built the song in that way.
There's no heavy guitars in that song.
Heavier than fucking "Shake Your Booty" or any Bee Gees fucking song that's out there. So
all right, fine.
Yes,
take it easy.
They took it to a different level.
They took it well. They right. Good way to put it. A different level.
And maybe it's not a level that
not
was
a
like
new level like Pantera, but a different level.
Yes, exactly. Maybe not to the extent that Americans liked it so much, but it's their biggest international hit.
Right up there with David Hasselhoff over in Germany.
Right, exactly. Yes. But I mean, it's more, known worldwide. So, and then down the road, Desmond Child is doing a lot of writing with Paul Stanley. Now, the album that they did after that is The Elder, which is just a critically bashed album. But when they did the press for all that, and they went all over the world.
Credits, by the way.
Right. They went all over the world, and he promoted that album, and Gene Simmons said that they had 2 guards out at the door to keep Desmond Child out of the studio.
Really?
Because he did not like that song. And I actually heard in an interview recently that Desmond Child said when he was there at the Garden at their last show. And when they still do "I Was Made for Loving You" live. And it sounds great live, believe it or not. It's just heavier. So most of their work is all heavier live, and that's another reason why I like them as much as I do, because I've seen them 37 times.
That's what's like. No, I don't have to ask now. I was going to ask you how many times you've seen them.
Yeah, it would be 37.
That's a lot.
But so when "I Was Made for Loving You" was played, Paul Stanley gets on a little truss, and he flies out to the back of the arena onto a little B stage back there, and he sings back there. And Desmond Child actually said when he saw that at the show, he's like, wow, Gene hates that song so much that Paul has to go to a different stage to sing it.
That's pretty funny.
But over time, Gene and Desmond, they never collaborated on a song, because it was always Desmond and Paul that did it. But Gene has still got a heart of gold. He helps people out where he can. So he's made great connections with Desmond. But speaking of connections, Bon Jovi is touring with Kiss. They're touring in Europe. And Paul Stanley says to Desmond Child, hey, these guys, they need a hit. So
says Bon Jovi needs a hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is young. This is like their first 2 albums or whatever. And they need a hit. And so he got together with Richie Sambora and John, and they started writing some songs together. And the first thing they did was like Desmond Child is a guy that first of all, he says that he learned to write anthems the Kiss way, the Paul Stanley way.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of gives him a lot of credit for what he's been doing. So Desmond Child sits down with Richie and John Bon Jovi, and he starts with a title. So the first thing he took out a piece of paper, and the title was "You Give Love a Bad Name."
Okay.
John Bon
Everybody
Jovi just lit up, big smile on his face, and within minutes they had it. They had that song. He ended up writing all that stuff that kind of like really put him on the map.
Yep.
The stuff on New Jersey,
That
Bad
New
Medicine,
Jersey
things
rock,
like
yep.
that. So he's part of that, and yes, Paul Stanley says you're welcome because he was responsible for that.
Interesting.
And Desmond Child is in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He has written, I think he has, is it 70? I can't remember if it's like maybe 70 hits, 40 number ones or something like that. I mean,
he's like the Bee Gees, man.
He's written for just a ton of people. I mean, and that family tree just keeps on growing, and it starts with what he did with Paul Stanley, and he but you can just take what he does, and he learned also to write with the tension of opposites.
Okay.
You give love a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
Dude looks like a lady. He wrote that with Aerosmith.
Okay.
I hate myself for loving you. He wrote that with Joan Jett. He wrote all of he didn't write all of it, but he wrote on just about every song on Alice Cooper's Trash album, Poison. But he's really out there, and it's like it all started with him working with Paul Stanley. And then he worked with Kiss on Heaven's on Fire, Hide Your Heart, other songs that were hits for him in the 80s. Heaven's on Fire is a huge hit for him in the 80s.
I remember that song.
But it's just how funny how all this ties in. And then you talk about Bryan Adams, who collaborated with Gene and did War Machine, and a guy like Bryan Adams doing a heavier song like that, you just don't think that that's going to happen.
You wouldn't think so, no, right?
But because of my getting into just about any type of music, it's kind of cool how it's interesting to me how all that just ties in.
It's very interesting now that I hear that. Like, it's definitely giving me a different perspective on Kiss. Doesn't mean I'm going to go out and buy their albums.
No,
but
and I don't really I don't expect anybody to, but I think I want I would like people to just know that there's more to them than Beth and Rock and Roll All Night.
Yeah, well, here's the way I think about music in general. Like, even if I say I don't like it, and a lot of times I'm doing my Crenshaw impression when I'm making fun of stuff. I can appreciate any band, especially if they're out there and they're doing something, and they're like, Kiss is a good example. They've been doing it for a long time and they're still drawing crowds. Well, they got something, right? And I can appreciate it and I respect it. I don't have to like it.
Right.
But I totally respect a lot of these bands that are doing that stuff, because you're able to connect with people, and whatever you're bringing to the table, you get people to show up and they love your shit.
Yeah.
Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. And music is, I'm a huge music fan. I like to listen to a lot of different stuff, and music's very subjective. It's always going to be. There's always something out there for everybody. But when you can do it to a level where you just get a huge number of people that are digging your shit, well, you did something right. Whatever it is, you did it right.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like it's definitely what you were saying there. Like there's some, I mean, well, if I'm not a fan, I'm not going to dig into it, right? I'm not going to look and see, well, these guys are helping write this and they're doing that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I never doubted the talent that those guys had. Although, I mean, their music doesn't sound like they're loaded with talent, but if they can write hooks, like Nickelback, I'm not saying Nickelback and Kiss are the same, but Nickelback was writing good hooks. Their songs were lame,
right?
But for whatever reason, they could write a really good hook, and they were really popular for a while in the 90s and early 2000s. But so I mean, it's a skill to be able to do that kind of stuff, and for Kiss to be able to go out there and then to put the makeup on and they put the show on. And you put all that together, I get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it. Like why people would, would dig that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You touched on, being able to write a hook or a catchy lyric or just something that just draws you in. And I'm not going to say he's the greatest of all time, but Paul Stanley does it almost every time.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how he can do that. And it's a lot of it's fun. And I know that you're not a fan of cock rock, but
not necessarily. I mean, some of it I was. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit like, I don't know. I guess where do you draw the line on what's cock rock? Is Rat cock rock?
No, but hey,
they're there.
Desmond Child helped Rat, right?
Go figure.
Love and Use a Dirty Job.
Yeah. I mean, I like Rat. I mean, back in the day when the cock rock was going on, like I was getting down with that stuff, but I kind of felt like I just grew out of it. And I'm like, I mean, when I grew up in the 80s, the cock rock was the big thing in the 80s and everybody liked it. Everybody's into it. And then I moved on to other things. And then when I look back at it now, I'm like, this shit's terrible. Really, when I listen to it, I'm like, this isn't good. It's not really like Poison. Pretty much anything Poison put on, I'm like, it's not good.
Yeah, they were definitely influenced by Kiss, but I wasn't I never got on board.
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff. I mean, and they got off the rails with that. But we'll save that for another discussion. I don't want to get
just very quickly though. The only thing I get out of Poison is my favorite song. Every toe has its corn.
Yeah, good. It sounds better than the original. Are you gonna tag Kiss in this when this comes out? Are you gonna tag him? Because as I know, you did that before. You tagged him, or you did something because was it Kiss Monopoly?
Yeah, it was it was Kissopoly, and we did it during the pandemic. Haley and Karen and I sat down one night, and we said let's just we went to A&W, got our dinner, and then so yeah, let's get a freaking gallon of root beer and get some burgers, and let's play Kissopoly. And I said, and while we're doing this, we can I can throw on the YouTube show of when we saw him, the three of us. And I took Haley to her first and only Kiss show, and that was in 2019. So we actually played that show, and then we played Kissopoly that night, and took a picture and posted on Twitter. And then they Kiss picked up on it, and it was like probably one of my most popular.
That's pretty awesome.
For nobody following me. I'm following everybody else. Nobody's following me,
right? Except
all the trash accounts. But all the hot chicks that that they never post anything. This chick followed you, and it's like, oh yeah, whatever. But so I got a lot out of that, from a lot of mileage out of that post, and then the band just said, Barth family did this weekend. What are you doing this weekend? And
how random is that? Like when you say that, so you don't have any followers really, but how random is it that you tag them out there? And because I'm sure that happens a lot, right? They probably get tagged in all kinds of shit. And just so happens that they see that you tagged them in that, and they're like, yeah, let's comment. Like, that's random, and that's awesome. Yep. That's pretty cool. Yeah. It's got to be like I don't know. Can't even describe like what that feeling would be like. Like, you got to feel like, yeah, I'm somebody now.
Yeah, I mean that night it was cool. We were actually together. We were at the beer garden when I got the when I saw that, and I was like, oh man, how cool is this? It's not every day that get that kind of picked up, and they picked it up a few days later. But I mean, at least hey, it still got picked up and still still had legs, and that was kind of cool.
That is very cool.
But yeah, maybe I will. You gotta take all the that's how you can kind of just grow your platform.
Or maybe somebody, since all the everybody's helping people write stuff. I wrote the intro, the intro and outro to my podcast that comes on. I wrote that. Maybe somebody can come help me write my first hit, and I can just now I'll be a famous musician.
Maybe.
So
you never know.
You should tag them, because
I think
I'm not like just super untalented. I can do stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, you can hashtag. Exactly. You can do a lot of stuff.
What's that? It's a hashtag. It's an octa. It's you should know. You're in the printing business. Didn't you invent the printing press?
No, that's not Glenn Barth. That's Gutenberg.
Oh yeah, Gutenberg. Yeah, that's close.
But
Steve Gutenberg. Speaking of witty,
exactly.
Right up your ass, Floyd.
Yeah, don't be going with the police academy action. But all right, where were we? Okay. So yeah, you can either tag the band, or you can even hashtag, like whatever you're talking about in your podcast.
Octothorpe. That's what it's called.
There you go.
Sorry.
See, look how smart you are.
Yeah, random fact.
Oh, there you go.
Boom, I got out of the way.
Yeah, that's done. But so yeah, I mean, you can you tag your stuff like that, and then somebody's gonna pick up on it.
Jenny says I have to do that, and I'm like, I got to figure it out, because like, I don't know, I've learned all this other stuff. Like that's another element. I'll get to it.
Yeah,
if I can consistently do this and get people to come over and do it and not run out of disk space and have to delete shit in the middle of it,
right?
And we're good.
Yeah, it's early and you'll get there, and I'm glad to be here for it for sure.
Well, I'm glad you came too.
Yeah, and but yeah, hottest band in the world, man. I could sit here forever and talk about that. They just sold the rights to their music this week.
Did they
in their
really?
catalog? Yeah.
Well, save that one. Let's talk about that next time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Because that sounds like that because there's a few bands I could talk about that with. Selling their rights to music. That's an interesting conversation that we should have. We could probably do a bit on that. So let's save that one for that. Let's jump back. A ways. Let's go back to bowling a little bit.
All right.
I'm going to do this. I'm anticipating. I say this every time I start this segment. It's everybody's favorite segment, the bitch of the day. Today's bitch of the day. Let's talk about bowling nuances and bowling etiquette, and because we both bowl and we see it. And I'll start this with an example. Something that I wasn't part of, but I was there to witness. I went out to support good buddy Mikey Welters, and two of our teammates, actually three of my teammates, because I bowl with Crenshaw, I bowl with Welters, and I bowl with Vern.
And by that way, it's Welter, singular.
Welter. Huh. Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep calling them
Otherwise, you're talking, about Mike and Becky or something like that.
Yeah, well,
Or Mike and Zach or Mike and Bill or something.
So I guess it depends on the context. If they're together, I'd call them Welters.
Yeah.
If not, hey, Welter. Okay. Good to know. Sorry about that. My bad, Mikey.
Yeah, whatever. Do you go to Shoguns for dinner too? Because it's just Shogun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't go there,
Shogun.
But they got good food. Yeah, I am going to go
Shogun.
there. I've been there.
Shogun, and just stop. Don't say Shoguns.
Shogun.
No, that's my bitch of the week right there.
Okay. Well, we got a lot of these to do.
And if you don't like it, take yourself over to Kmart and go get you something over there, you fucks.
So Saturday I went and watched those guys. They bowled the trios, and towards the end, they were done. They were out of it, and there's a big hubbubaloo down at the end, and everyone's, what the hell's going on? Turns out, a couple of guys got into it, just kind of had some words with each other, because one particular guy, they're down to the end where it's starting to get madder, and people get excited sometimes, and people get overly excited, and this is something I'd never really understood when it comes to bowling. When I see guys, like, apparently what happened this particular instance is the bowler that was doing well threw a strike and did what a lot of people call run it out, right? And you've seen it happen where a guy throws a strike or does something good, and then he runs across a lane or two. I'm like, first of all, what the fuck? I'm like, why are you doing that? what is the point of like having to do that? I just don't get that part of it. This happened like 3 times. And then the guy that was bowling next to him, like, all right, enough. Like, dude, you going to knock that shit off already? And of course, then the guy that was doing it's like, he's got to get in his face. And there's a big old thing. And then his mom was yelling at him and all that. And I just thought to myself, what the dude, really?
Yeah.
But I mean, you see that kind of stuff. I'm like, what is that? You don't do that. I don't do that. I don't actually think there's only one guy I bowl with that kind of does that. And that's Crenshaw. I've seen him do it. I know he does it he does it because, he's got his reasons. He's just trying to instigate something,
Yeah. Sometimes it's like there's a time and a place. I don't know if I'd ever see him do that in competition.
No, he would never do that.
And,
Definitely not.
But on a league night, when you just, you're kind of just toying with each other. Yeah, I can see that. But that's all part of, it's just like football. Act like you've been there before.
Right.
You score a touchdown and you got to go and, get 7 of your teammates and have a celebration or whatever.
The old Walter Payton method. Just hand the ball to the ref, walk away.
Yeah.
Put your ball in the rack, walk away.
Again, yeah. Not to toot my own horn, but, what happened when I shot the 300 game?
You had 5 shots after that and you bowled like shit.
No, but right at the last ball.
Sorry.
Right at the last ball, you motherfucker. I threw the shot and I was confident that it was a strike, and I remember pointing and it's like, yep, that's the shot. And then I walked away.
That's all. I mean, and everybody does it their own way.
Right. There's fist pumps. There's running down the lanes.
Yeah, that's that one crosses the line for me.
Yeah, and I mean, in that particular moment when you have the place quiet and waiting for you and giving you your several lanes courtesy that is not necessary, but they gave it to you. Yeah, you can, I don't think that there's too much wrong with that. But when you're in competition like that and you have other people on the lanes next to you, I get that, there's the excitement of that competition, but you also want to, it's not like you're a pro bowler hyping up a crowd.
Right. You don't have to big earn it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And,
causing trouble.
And that's something that, I've noticed over time. It's like, I mean, I have 300 games, like there's dudes out there with hundreds or 100 or 80 or 70,
I
whatever.
have lots of 100 games.
Yeah. Well, I had one right after the 300. So barely. I mean, but and those guys have all, they've been there before. They're not running all that stuff out. I know that every once in a while I may go to the other lane because I kind of like, it's almost like I'm looking at the angle of the ball coming in. So
that's acceptable. No,
do that, but that's not running it out.
No, it's not. That's acceptable.
And it's not just this, this total celebration after a strike.
That's what I'm getting at. Like when you're fucking just like you're getting out of your shoes for something. Like how many of those things you've thrown in your life?
Right.
Really? Like you really got to go get all crazy about that?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that particular day was a tournament for those guys, and yeah, there's some money on the line, but it's not like you're going to win the lottery.
No,
so,
it's not life-changing money, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
you're still going to work on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can make more money to bowl in more bowling tournaments to make another $100, right? So you're just going to drink it all away afterwards anyways.
Yeah. Now if I'm bowling against somebody I really don't care for, I won't say hate. I would have said hate, years ago, but or somebody that I really want to beat really bad.
Yeah.
I still don't think I would do that.
No, I would just want to beat him.
Yeah.
I would just be good with that. I would just go home and feel, I would be satisfied. Just like, yep, I beat that.
You can just feel, you can just, kick somebody's ass and feel good.
Take that shit.
Yeah.
Stick it up your butthole.
That's right.
Your big brown butthole.
Even if it's showing or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a bunch of these. There's another one I kind of struggle with this one a little bit, but like, I'm not saying that people shouldn't have their thing like when they go to throw the ball, but like sometimes it seems to be excessive to me. Like, it, and I know you can see it on my face because you get side by side with some guy and you're like, holy fucking 5 minutes ago, man, dude, you gonna throw that ball or what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. You're
What are you
throwing,
looking at?
yeah, you're throwing at a 2-pin, you know, it's like, what's up? You know,
like, come on, come on.
Yeah. There's some people out there that take a lot of time on the approach, and, yeah, that it's annoying to an extent. Cause I think you need to take, you should take some time and get yourself set. But, yeah, some people are just,
pull your pants up so you're not full moon ass gravy.
yeah, exactly. But, yeah, and you get yourself set and you kind of make sure everything is ready to go. But man, you got to take forever on something like that. And then you come back and do it on your spare. I mean, I that's what I don't get.
Yeah.
And I'm, and I've looked and we see it to this day. It's like, dude, you're taking that long and you're shooting at a spare. But probably the most gratifying thing out of that is, they take all that time and they miss, or they just stink overall. So
yeah,
it's a shake your head moment, but it still is like, yeah, just imagine if you were good, how much time you'd take. So I'm glad you stink.
Yeah, if you were good, we would never leave.
Oh man, and we've had it, and it's everywhere. Every league
it
has
is. There's always something.
I'm still not. I don't bowl as much as I should. And I think if I did more, maybe I'd understand it a little bit more.
That's the thing too. It's almost kind of like golf. You got to do it more.
Two-lane courtesy.
Yeah, that one I don't get. I mean, yes and no. I mean, whatever. It depends. Depends. Like, all right. So a good example is like with Chris Webb. He's got kind of a goofy. So this is like the bowling nuances thing. He's got a goofy approach to throwing the bowling ball. If I get up there and he's there and he's a couple of lanes away from me, I catch him out of the corner. I can't go because I know that got in my head.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's just got a little bit different of approach. And I'm like, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm like, I think it'd be good for me. But then other guys get up there. If they're next to me, I'm like, I ain't even thinking about it.
Right.
Even if I see him, I'm like, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Because it don't bother me. Because it's a weird thing that stuff gets in your head.
Yep. Yeah. If I bowled in leagues that was a league rule. And that really yeah, it's just something that you're thinking about. You don't need to think about. Chris Webb, Hall of Famer. He has his approach as he does. It's because he had a back injury.
Is that why?
Yeah, and that's kind of you can really see him like kind of stretching his back a lot, and
he's got a little hitch in his giddy up, and
yeah,
I mean a lot of that's got to be timing. I'm assuming.
Yep, and so I mean, and that guy. He practices and he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. He's
fucking phenomenal.
He's out there every Sunday morning, bowling at the lanes all you can bowl, and he's consistent as all get out. And actually, Mike Welter and I actually had the conversation about the comparison between him and Joe Crenshaw, how they throw a phenomenal shot and they bury it. And there's something that's not right for them, and they're shaking their head when they come back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it just didn't feel right for them or something, or if it wasn't exactly where they wanted to throw it, and they turn around and strike, and they're walking away, and they're shaking their head, and you can only laugh at it because because they're perfectionists,
right?
And
meanwhile, I'm like, hey, I threw it in this area. That's right. How come I didn't get a strike?
Man, I want that 10 board margin for error, 5 on each side of my spot. That's what I want, and that's what I deserve. I'm a house bowler, damn it.
Yeah, me too.
But when Chris is up there, he's earned it. I'll give him his 2 lanes. If there's some guys that like you said, you don't care or whatever. But if anybody else gets upset because they're not getting 2 lanes. Number one, it's not a rule. I'm just doing that out of respect.
If it ain't a rule, then fuck off.
I know that there's another gentleman in the league that takes forever, and we know who we're talking about. He's kind of voyeury, if you know what I mean.
Maybe. Does he like blue?
Yeah. And so he I actually heard him say something because he was up on the lane, and he's back on the approach. But he's not that far back. Like Mike Mike Welter stands at the back of the approach. So
You do-
I
yeah.
actually feel bad. Like when he gets up there and he's starting to get set, I will not pick up my bowling ball. I
Yeah,
picked
because
up
he's far back, right?
Yeah, I picked up my bowling ball while this gentleman was there, but I was like probably parallel with him. And he said something because apparently I was rushing him
Oh boy.
because I picked up my ball. And, you know, from that point on, it's like, you know, and first of all, dude, you take forever and a day to frickin' throw your ball. And, you know, it's like, and you stink. I mean, you have your moments, you know.
We all have our moments, right?
You did shoot your 300 game this year, which is, you know, good for you. But you are not in that class of where you need to just have, you know, 2-lane courtesy or nobody stepping up.
Crenshaw wouldn't ask for it. Neither would Mikey. They don't.
No,
they bowl at the rules that are there. You know what I mean? Like, and those guys they're great. They're both Hall of Fame bowlers, right?
Yeah.
So they don't expect
that. Yeah,
they bowl for the rules of the league,
right? You know, it's like if those guys are at you know, like at state or something like that, or they're at nationals, and I think nationals it's a rule. I think
I don't even know
if it's not a rule, it's kind of like that unwritten rule that you should give 2-lane courtesy at nationals and whatnot. But they're used to it. But again, they don't need it all the time. And you know, I honestly don't care as long as you're staying like within your lane. I don't care if we go at the same time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I mean, it's so rare that actually happens where you're going at the same time and you got a guy just a couple of lanes away from you. That don't happen that much anyway. So it's like the 2-lane thing is fine, but you know, most of the time not even necessary because if you see somebody getting up on the approach, you're probably not getting up, or vice versa. But if there's a guy that's been standing there for fucking 10 minutes, then maybe you're just gonna be like, dude, I'm just gonna go. I can't wait for this shit anymore. Like, I have beer to drink. I came here for that reason, and bowling is secondary. So
and I mean,
till next year, bowling is first.
That's right. That actually did get in my head this year a bit with some of the you know, because leading off, you know, I'm going against some of the guys that seem to like to take their time a little bit more, and it's like, man, I hate matching up with them. I would rather have them go first, and sometimes I know when they're up there, I'll just wait. I'm not even gonna go up there until they take a step.
Yep, just go, man.
Because I have gotten into the habit of you know, wiping my ball down before each shot
with your fucking bath towel.
With that, the coolest towel on the planet, Ebonite, bowl to win, motherfucker. Hey, I'm old school, man. I got I don't got the damn, you know, the washcloth to wipe my bowl off, or the microfiber little thing that, you know, oh my God, get your eyeglass. That's why when you bowled like 75 pins over your average, now you get an eyeglass cleaner from the USBC. They want you to have that as your bowling towel.
That's in my car.
I'm bringing my damn bath towel in there now.
Okay.
Because hey, I work up a lather anyway, so half of it I wipe my ball off with, and the other half I wipe my face off with.
Because bowling oil all over your.
No, I use the other side, and the other half.
So it's multi-purpose. I got it. Okay.
Hey, you know, I'm folding that fucker up all the time.
Crenshaw's got a bath towel.
I'm doing my laundry and shit with it. It's all good.
You know, speaking of those bath towels, when we bowled at Castle, there was one guy in particular. This would be the last fucking complaint I got about bowling for tonight. Then we'll get out of here. But there was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he used to come up and he had a big towel like you guys. And he, for whatever reason, they would come up to the, the ball return, and he'd wipe his ball off and he'd throw it on everybody else's fucking balls. Like, why are you putting your towel down there? And then, because somebody brought this up this year, somebody was bitching about it. Like, they finally got pissed at whoever was doing it because they kept throwing his ball down, or throwing the towel down on the guy's ball. So he finally took his towel and threw it on the ground. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck are you putting it there in the first place? There's no reason you need to throw your towel over everybody else's bowling balls. I don't get it. Like, that's just like arrogance to me.
Yeah.
Like, what's the line of thinking when you do stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, first of all, it's like you're not thinking about other people, I guess. And my gripe kind of ties into it, but I've been learning to get around it. I use the big towel. I wipe off my bowling ball, and then when I'm done, I put it down. Where am I putting it down?
On the floor?
I guess.
No. Well, there's not much room, but you put it wherever. You're not. You don't put it on everybody else's balls. I never saw.
No, there has been a time where I'll put it on the rack when like say I pick my ball up and like the balls don't move, so like it would just drape over the rack.
Yep, cool, acceptable, I would say.
I usually would love to put it on the score table, the console,
the one that's this big.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's got their their Brillo pads or their ShamWows and all that crap that they put on there. And, there's like 75 of them there. And I'm like, well, why should I put my stuff on theirs? Because then they're going to have to throw my towel on the floor to get to theirs. So I'm like, okay, those spots are basically taken. I usually don't mind doing the...
that community area seems to be okay, though, for some reason. Nobody really has a problem when everybody puts their shit there.
Yeah.
They just mill through it and you just say, just pick one, throw it down.
Yeah. Damn, puff balls and all that crap that was all there. But it's like,
sorry for cutting
I don't need... Well, no, that's fine. I don't need to throw my bath towel over all their stuff. They're never going to find it.
They would never find it, right?
That's right.
They did.
So, I'm being courteous. That's my way of being courteous.
Nice guy.
Take your 2 lanes
Courteous
and shove them up your ass, but I'm not going to fuck with your ShamWows or your puff balls. So I'll take the towel and I prefer to just like throw it like on the bench, like right on the side there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do that because we actually have a teammate that brings like a semi full of bowling balls and shit.
He sure does.
And and not that a place that is a chair should be a place for my towel, but it doesn't need to be a place for 3 other bowling balls or another bag. Or
you know what a chair is for? For your full moon ass gravy. To sit on that motherfucker.
Probably the biggest thing out of all this is wear a belt. Wear a fucking belt.
Yeah, or maybe not sweatpants with loose leg holes.
Loose leg holes or just sweatpants in general. Wear a longer t-shirt. And I'll say this, wear a long t-shirt because you just never know. Like, maybe your pants are gonna drop on you a little bit.
Yeah,
I actually put on a t-shirt for bowling this week and I'm like, I think it's a little too short.
Was it like up to here?
No.
Belly shirt? It was like 80s
Dude,
style?
that would have been badass. If my fat ass goes in there with a gut hanging out.
We should all do that.
My gut hangs out anyway, but I still like to wear a shirt. Just I don't want anybody else to see my stuff. I see everybody else's junk. So it's like a lot of junk out there. I'm not a fashion stud or anything like that, but I make sure that at least I'm covered.
At least you pull your pants up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pull your pants up, pull your shirt down.
My belt is cinched up, man, because
can't feel my legs.
Well, that might be my problem. I don't know. But
sometimes, right?
Yeah. That's what happened after that 300 game. My belt was too tight. No, I don't know. But yeah, it's one of those things that, just in anything in life you learn as you go, and stuff like this, like the bitch of the week, the rant of the month, or whatever this segment is.
Yeah. All of the above.
It's like, learn. Don't do this stuff. It's like you can be at work and you can hear 2 guys talking about what somebody else did. And, like if that's me, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not going to do that, and
yep.
Just learn and just be courteous of what's going on around you. And if you need to take some time, take a little bit of time. Just don't take everybody's time. There. How about that?
There you go. Well, let that be a lesson to you, folks. Don't take everybody's time. Said by the great philosopher, Glenjamin Barth.
That's right.
Well, thanks for coming over, buddy.
Your son calls me Glenzilla. I don't know why.
Did he? That's a new one.
He calls me Glenzilla.
Huh.
I don't know if I like that one so much, but it's
tell him
it's
to
his. It's an original. No, he doesn't have to stop. It's an original. And it's his, and
I'll ask him about that.
And he affectionately calls me that, so I'm good.
Okay. Oh. All right. That's between you and him.
Yeah. I mean, he's cool, but yeah.
Yeah, cool thanks for hanging out, and come back again anytime. I'd look forward to it. We got a lot more to talk about, man.
Oh yeah, because just after we just got done talking about not taking up everybody else's time, I hope to come back and take up all your fucking time.
Exactly. So, on that note, well, bye.